Hello guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Ademola Badmos, and if this is your first time, please do not forget to subscribe and like if you find the video helpful. I recommend you watch the previous video before you proceed with this. So in the last video, I did say that I was going to populate for the locked user. As you can see, I have done it, and I will show you the code in a minute, but let's just run it and see. So this is it. It's trying to load all 4 tests. And in this video, we will try to probably put what we have done right now, we'll put it into a Git repository, or we will start the one that would allow us to use just one feature file, so we can make some changes, so we can stash this change somewhere. So let us begin. So the first thing I would do here is let me just add a new node, a new terminal. So I'll use the new terminal to create an empty Git repository. I have done something on Git before in my previous videos, so you could check that. I will also drop the link to it in the description of this video, so you can check how to go through how to put your codes in a Git repository. So I'm just going to show you some parts of it. So what I like to do is, because there are several ways to do it and there's not just one way that is correct. So what I like to do is I like to create an empty repository into it when I know that I'm the one creating it, right? So this VS Code has some features that can help me automatically add some things to Git ignore, but I haven't created a Git ignore yet. So I can use the VS Code feature and say yes, and a Git ignore would be created and node modules is automatically added. Let me just do it this way to make sure that everything in node modules is taken in. So now that I've done that, I can go to my Git repository account. This is my own account. You can follow me on GitHub as well. Just look for Badmus, BHADMUS, and you can hit the follow button. Once I see it, I'll be able to follow back myself. So let's create a new empty repository. We are going to make it public so everybody has access to it. So this is the first YouTube BDD. This is the first YouTube BDD project, right? So we are going to make it public. We will not add a README file. We will be adding the README file later on. So we'll create the repository. So the idea is this. We have the repository. What we intend to do is we want to push what we've just done there. Then we would make an improvement and make it a single file. So we'll push that repo to there. And when we do a pull request, we are not going to delete the new branch. So we can see different branches of what has been done. Okay. So we will not, we might merge it. We'll keep merging it to the main branch, but the existing ones will be there. So what I would do at this point is I would add this to the main branch. The main branch will be having the updates of the new ones, but I will be creating separate branches. So follow along and see how I would add all that I've done so far to the main branch, just as I'll push it right now. Then I'll create a new branch to replicate what is in the main branch, because the main branch will be updated later. What I'm saying in essence is what we have right now will be in the main branch, and I'll also create a separate branch to have this same code. Then I will merge this same branch I will update it to the main branch, but I'll still keep this. Then I'll create a new branch to do a single file. I will merge it to the main branch. So the main branch will always have an updated version, but we have different branches that has different versions. So let's go. So because I already created an empty repository into my code, so I'm going to use this method which has shorter steps. I'm going to use adding it to an existing repo. So what I'm essentially doing is I'm trying to connect this repository. I'm trying to connect it to my local repository here. So all I just need to do is just paste this here, then do that. And it means I've connected it. So now I want to push everything here, but I'm not just going to go now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add some other unseen files like the VS Code file and the dist folder as well. And over time, when we begin to run headless mode, I would also add some other folders to it. But for now, let us have these three included. So now that I've done this, like I said in the previous video, I could decide to, let me do a git status. A git status will show you things that need to be added. See, as you can see with the git ignore file, like I explained before, everything that you don't want to add to your repository here will be in the git ignore file. So they will be exempted from going. And as you can see, node modules isn't in the list. So what we need to do now, as you can see, it says git use git add and the name of the file. But we have like we have more than 5 files there because we have several files inside the Cypress folder. So instead of adding it one after the other, like I did in the previous video, you just do git add this, and which means you've added everything. Then you have to put a commit message. I explained the details, what a commit message is like, and I also likened it to using your bank transfer app when you want to transfer money. At that point, you have to put a remark. Unless you put a remark, you'll not be able to send that money successfully. So a commit message is like a remark that is needed to show the activity that you've done. So we say the first commit. This is our first commit. Then we push that. Now that we have done that, the next thing we do is we might decide to rename the master branch if we want to, or we leave it as that. But let us go with the new trend and rename it. So we use the command branch -m, then we give it a new name, main. We can even give it any name, but by convention it is main. Now, if you want to know much about all these git commands, you can run the git help after the command you want to check. So it will give you some other details about the git command. So let's just rename it and call it main. Now, as you can see, the name has changed from master. It has changed from master to main. So let's do the final push. Git push. You can put a flag U, which means upstream, but you might decide to remove it and do git push origin main. That is the branch that you are pushing to. So you do that, then I use a passphrase. Yeah, everything has been pushed. So if I come here and I refresh, I have everything all together here. So we have our project here. So the next thing I'm going to do right now, like I said, is I'm going to create a new branch. Like I said, I have discussed how to create branches and how to create new branch, but I'll use the easiest method out of it, git checkout with a flag of B. That means I'm saying switch to a new branch that I'm about to create. So let's call this one multiple files. Multiple files, right? So when we create this, we haven't done anything much in it. So what do we need to do here? Let's just make we do not really need to make any change though, but let's add something, because if we try to push now to say everything is up to date, so let's add one of those files that potentially could be an issue later on. Okay, No, we don't need to add that to it. Let's see what changes can we make. Okay, let's try to refactor the code. How about that? Let's format the code and make it look more presentable everywhere. Okay, so all these white spaces, let's remove it. So let's do that to make a change. Okay, yeah, this one is better. Okay, let's remove the white spaces. So because we just wanted to make this one be on its own. So when we update the main branch, we would have something else entirely. So with that done, let's see if there's anything that we need to update here as well in the step implementations. Okay. Everything looks all set. And in the common steps, everything looks all set. Oh, and I also add the click login button to the common steps because the click login button is the same for all 4 types of users. So you can add that to the common steps, and as you can see, when I first did it, it worked. So let us add all the changes. We changed several files, so we'll just use git add and full stop. And our commit this time is we are removing white spaces, right? We removed white spaces. We removed white spaces, right? So with that done, we can push. So when we want to push now, we are going to push to this branch. We are not pushing to main. We are going to push to this branch here because that is where we are. So we push to this branch. Of course, it will ask me for a password because my SSH key has a passphrase. So now that I've done this, as you can see, it has created a new file. So I can click my command button up. If you are using a Windows system, oh, I can't do that here. Let me just copy it. This is another browser entirely. I can copy it and come here. I can still paste it here. So since we are working on this, as you can see, this is the pull request and it is talking about white spaces. So I can add more details to it and say, yes, I removed white spaces on different files and list all the files there if I want, or I can just go ahead and create the pull request. Now, while it is checking if the request can merge, and it can merge, you will see an option at some point to see if you should delete the branch or you should keep it. So right now, the option isn't there, but we'll see it now soon. Confirm merge request. I've confirmed the merge request. Now that is merged, as you can see, there is an option to delete the branch, but I'm going to leave the branch. So we have 2 branches. Okay, as you can see, now we have 2 branches. Now one of them has white spaces all removed, while the main branch 2 now have white spaces all removed because we've updated it. So what we are going to now do is, now that we are done here, we check out back to the main branch. That's the command. You use a git checkout. Then the next thing is you pull the main branch so that you have the latest update of the main branch. I am using a rebase flag because it is actually good to use a rebase. Why is it good to use a rebase? With a rebase, how do I explain this in a simpler form? With a rebase, you will get the latest version in a stable manner. With latest version that has no conflicts and no issues, you have that when you do a rebase when you add a rebase to it. Not essentially that if you don't add a rebase you might not get that, but the thing is, it's actually kind of enforces it with a rebase flag. So let us pull. As you can see, all the changes has now been updated. So now that we have an updated version of main, so which means that every time you want to create a new branch, you have to start from that point. You have to start from the main repository in an updated manner. So you have to pull the latest changes first into your local before you try to create yours, so to avoid conflicts. So again, we are going to now create checkout -b. We now call this one single file, right? As you can see, we have checked that into that branch. So we are going to end the class here, and in the next class we will we'll now revisit this old code and just do the old test using just one single file. Thank you for watching. Do not forget to hit the like button if you find this helpful, and also do not forget to subscribe and recommend to your friends. Thank you. Bye bye.